You can check it out. I'll put the links in the show notes. But the parks discussion dominated that. And while we're going through the discussion, we may mention Disney Plus only because of Disney's flywheel concept of business. Are you all familiar with that? The whole flywheel thing that Walt had instituted as far as a business model kind of a thing?
Well, I was thinking everything was just connected.
Yeah, it's exactly what you think. Just like in a car has a flywheel. Just to give you some background on that in case you're curious, in the 50s, Walt Disney famously laid out his business strategy. And it was not about values, excellence, or marketing, or any other vague descriptor. It was about a methodic interconnection of businesses feeding each other and creating an ongoing reasons to engage with the Disney brand, much like a flywheel. All the different pieces are connected and they help each other out. And so I mention that only because in the interview, Iger does reference the flywheel a lot.
Okay.
So what I will do is I will play clips from the Q&A session, which is publicly available through Moffett-Nathanson's website and can be accessed from the Walt Disney Company's website as well. And for your information, Michael Nathanson, the Nathanson, Moffett-Nathanson, is the person asking questions of Bob Iger during his interview. I will provide the clip and some context, and we'll discuss our thoughts on Iger's response. You guys ready?
Ready.
All right. So to start, there is a legal statement, and I love if you listen to it, or even if you read it, it makes me laugh because it's just beautiful. Basically, that says these are thoughts and projections based on what is going on at the time of this conference and is subject to change. In addition, the company has no obligation to update anything said at this time and cannot be held accountable for statements that were said. Isn't that just beautiful?
Typical.
Jesus.
Typical
Lord.
legalese.
Good Lord. It was beautifully written. My gosh.
It's like the opinions of Bob Iger may not expressly represent the opinions of the Disney company.
Yes, exactly. All right, so let's start hearing the clips because I'm curious to see what you guys think. Because when I was listening to this and stuff, I was just like, we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
He's appealing to investors and advertisers, and we're consumers.
Yes.
We're people that do have money that would buy into it. But, well, we'll discuss more about how they think about users and stuff. But anyway.
Wallets with eyes, I believe. Is
yes.
Disney term.
A number to number.
Yeah, you're right. So look, in the first clip, Michael Nathanson brings up a concern regarding Disney storytelling as of late, implying that maybe it isn't up to par with what Disney has historically been known for.
No.
That's exactly something that we have brought up on the show before. How about that?
Huh.
And I kind of like Michael because he does kind of dig at these questions, but I play the clip with Michael asking it, and then you can see how Iger responds.
Okay.
One of the questions we have is, obviously Disney at its core is about great and evocative storytelling. But I wonder, have changes in either culture or technology challenged the company's ability to be as consistently strong as prior periods of storytelling?
Look, we obviously have a huge history or a legacy in storytelling. The company was 100 years old last October. I think as we got into the streaming business in a very, very aggressive way, we tried to tell too many stories. Basically, we invested too much, way ahead of possible returns. It's what led to streaming ending up as a $4 billion loss.
Yeah.
And the combination of spending more than was truly monetizable, but also spending more that resulted in volume and not quality turned out to be a mistake. There's a very fine line that you can cross and get in trouble if your volume ends up diluting management's attention to what is being made.
Right.
And that's what happened to us.
Well,
so I've pulled that back
right.
in a variety of ways.
So making bad movies turned out to be a mistake. Go figure, huh? Wow.
It's funny to me because he doesn't answer the question.
That's what I was going to say.
Right.
What about the culture part? Culture shut them down all day. They tried to focus more on what everybody wanted, but no storytelling that people needed.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you heard him at the very beginning. We have a great legacy of storytelling, but that's not the world we're living in now. Let's talk about the time we're living in now. And in today's world, your storytelling sucks. Absolutely sucks. And it's not because there's been too much of it, too much volume. It's because you're afraid of taking creative risks. That's what it's always been about. Every time you find something successful, you repackage it and you regurgitate it and feed it back to us over and over again. So we get live action remakes we didn't want, uninspired sequels. They take characters we love and substitute them with second-rate Wish.com knockoff versions of them.
Yeah.
I mean, You can point to 100 years, yeah, but under your watch, not so much.
I heard this statement and I was absolutely baffled. He mentions quality of storytelling, which was hindered by the quantity.
Mhm.
But the thing that got me is his statement where he says, you get into trouble if your volume ends up diluting management's attention to what is being made. So are you telling us that nobody was paying attention to what was getting out there?
Yeah, it was
they just wanted quantity? It's just numbers?
That's what it sounds like. Make it and make a lot of it.
And that's it. It doesn't matter what it is.
But it might also explain why it is that so many political messaging ended up in these movies, which also contributed to why these movies didn't do so well.
Which he did not address.
Trying to go so deep into the social justice DEI stuff that it's impossible not to notice the political messaging in the movie as opposed to more of a universal
Or
feel
just
good story that we could all relate to
and get behind.
a well-crafted story. Period.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Build your heroes again.
A lot of those movies, the most defining element of the character was their race or their sex or their ethnicity, which means that these characters are no longer somebody that everyone can identify with because they endured and overcame struggles that we all have. And there's no villain because everyone's just misunderstood, unless, of course, your politics differ with Disney. Then, of course, the villain is you.
Right.
So,
Right.
that happens. But yeah, no, it's a really bizarre way of explaining things. Is basically, we let our artists have too much fun and now we're reining that back in. Is that what he's trying to say?
That's what it sounds like. But I mean, as we can tell, it doesn't sound like they had as much reign as he thinks there was.
I'm looking at some of the movies that are coming out in the not so distant future, and I don't see where they veered away from this at all. Does anyone really want an Agatha Harkness series?
No.
Does anyone want an Ironheart? What do they do? Is it a movie? Is it a series? What?
With Riri?
Riri.
Oh, Riri Williams?
Yeah. Anyone care?
No.
Not really.
I would have taken some kind of Agatha right after that original TV series happened.
Yeah.
Because that's when that was relevant. But
And
now...
No.
She hasn't been referencing pretty much anything that's happened since then because I guess their volume got out of control and nobody was regulating it.
Any of the Star Wars series coming out? Any excitement there? Exactly.
There's a Star Wars series coming out?
Yeah.
Supposed to be, yeah. They had the
Acolyte.
last Bad Batch season, and I've been trudging through it, and I haven't finished it because it's like, I don't know.
You trudge it. That's tough.
I mean, I like those characters, and it's not fatigue. It's just like, the stories. I don't know what
They're not engaging.
It's not engaged. It doesn't work for me.
It doesn't make your mind come alive with wonder. It just doesn't.
There's no magic.
No.
No magic. Okay.
So there's a problem with storytelling. There's absolutely is, and this kind of a statement that we figured it out. We just need to scale it back a little bit. No, there's a bigger issue at play here, and the issue is that they're risk adverse. They don't want to tell new and interesting stories.
No, exactly, and we'll learn more about that later when we talk about IP in the parks for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna play this next clip, and it's interesting to me because Iger specifically states, and this makes me laugh. He specifically states that the company does better when there is a creative at the helm. And of course, he lumps himself in there.